The settlement alarms never went off when the dragon landed. Kale Andrus had stopped trying to warn the guards months ago. They never listened to an 8-year-old boy anyway. He sat on the rocky outcrop behind his family's housing unit, watching the massive creature fold its wings against the purple twilight sky. The dragon's scales shimmered with blue and silver light, like someone had painted stars across its body. Most people couldn't see these patterns. They only saw the massive claws, the teeth, and the way the ground shook when a draconis walked. "You're early tonight," Kale said quietly, not moving his lips. The words formed in his mind and reached across the distance between them. The dragon's response came as warm pressure in his thoughts, like sunlight through water. "The hunting was good today. I brought you something." A moment later, a strange crystalline structure appeared in Kale's mind. The dragon was showing an image directly. It looked like frozen lightning, beautiful and intricate. "What is it?" Kale asked. "Something my kind leaves behind when we shed our old scales. Your scientists would find it interesting, but that is not why I came." Kale felt his stomach tighten. Ashvin only used that tone when something was wrong. "What happened?" "We have sensed something in the deep spaces. A wrongness. It moved between the stars, and where it passes, the silence follows." Before Kale could respond, his mother's voice cut through the evening air. "Kale, dinner's ready. Stop playing out there." The boy glanced back at his home, then toward the dragon. Ashvin had already begun to fade into the shadows, his bioluminescent markings dimming to almost nothing. The creature could disappear when it wanted to, despite being larger than a transport shuttle. "I must speak with the elders of my kind," Ashvin's voice whispered in Kale's mind. "But remember what I told you. The silence comes." Kale walked back to his home slowly, his mind full of questions. This was not the first time Ashvin had mentioned strange things happening in deep space. For weeks now, the dragon had spoken of disappearing signals, of colonies that stopped responding, of a darkness that seemed to swallow everything it touched. At dinner, Kale's parents talked about their work studying alien plant specimens. His father complained about paperwork from the Galactic Council. His mother laughed about something funny that happened in the laboratory. Everything seemed so normal. "Mom," Kale said, pushing food around his plate, "has anyone reported problems with the outer colonies lately?" His mother looked up, surprised. "What kind of problems, honey?" "Like them going quiet, not answering messages." His father frowned. "Where did you hear about that?" "The dragons told me." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. His parents exchanged that look again. The look that said they loved him but didn't believe him. The look that made Kale feel small and foolish. "Kale," his mother said gently, "we've talked about this. Your imagination is wonderful, but you can't claim the dragons are telling you things. No one can actually communicate with them." "But I do. Ashvin comes almost every day. He tells me things. Important things." His father set down his fork. "Son, people have studied the Draconis for 50 years. They're intelligent, yes, but they don't speak. Not to humans. Not to anyone. Whatever you think you're hearing." "I'm not making it up." Kale's voice rose despite himself. "We know you're not lying," his mother said quickly. "We think you might be interpreting things, seeing patterns that aren't really there. It's natural for children to create imaginary friends, especially on frontier worlds where there aren't many other kids." Kale wanted to scream, wanted to drag them outside and make them see Ashvin, but he knew it wouldn't matter. Even when the dragons flew overhead during the day, adults saw dangerous animals. They didn't see the intelligence in those ancient eyes. They didn't feel the warmth of the connection. That night, Kale lay in bed and reached out with his mind. The resonance, though he didn't know that word yet, flowed around him like invisible water. He could feel dozens of dragons in the area, their consciousness like distant fireflies. And beyond them, far away in the dark spaces between stars, he felt something else. Something cold. Something hungry. Ashrin's voice came one last time before sleep took him. "They do not believe you, young speaker, but soon they will have no choice. The silence is coming and it devours worlds." Kale pulled his blanket tighter, suddenly very cold and very afraid. 3 years had changed everything and nothing at all. Kale was 11 now, taller but still thin, still the strange boy who talked to dragons. He had learned to keep his mouth shut about what Ashvin told him. Being called crazy got old quickly. The dragons had been disappearing for months. Not dying, just leaving. The scientists at the colony noticed, but couldn't explain it. Where once dozens of draconas flew over Meridian's edge each week, now maybe 3 or 4 appeared. The skies felt empty. Kale knew why. He just couldn't tell anyone. He sat at his usual spot in the canyon, 3 kilometers from the settlement. His parents thought he came here to be alone. They were half right. He came here to meet Ashvin, away from judgmental eyes and disbelieving adults. The dragon landed without sound, his massive form casting a shadow across the red rocks. Ashvin had grown too. His scales showed more silver now, and the blue patterns traced deeper paths across his body. "You look tired," Kale said, speaking aloud this time. No one was around to hear. "My kind does not sleep the way yours does. But yes, we are tired." The dragon's voice in his mind carried a weight Kale had never felt before. "We have been preparing." "Preparing for what?" "That thing you told me about years ago. The silence. It has a name now. Your scientists will call it the Void Swarm when they finally see it. We call it the hunger that walks between stars." Ashvin settled onto his haunches, bringing his massive head closer to Kale's level. "They have consumed 17 colony worlds in the past year. Soon they will reach this sector." Kale felt ice in his stomach. 17? Why hasn't the Galactic Council said anything? Because by the time anyone realizes a colony has gone silent, there is nothing left to find. No bodies. No buildings. No ships. The swarm takes everything and leaves only empty rock behind. We have to warn people. With what proof? Ashrin's mental voice held something like sadness. "You are a child who talks to dragons that do not talk back. Who will believe you?" It was true, and it hurt. Kale had tried to warn his parents again last month when Ashvin first told him about the missing colonies. They had smiled and patted his head and told him not to worry about adult problems. Then what do? "I show you something. Something that may change everything." The dragon lowered his head until his great eye was level with Kale's face. The eye was like looking into deep water filled with starlight. "You must trust me completely. Do not be afraid." Before Kale could ask what he meant, the world exploded into light and sensation. Suddenly, he wasn't in his own body anymore. He was flying, soaring thousands of meters above the planet's surface. He could feel the wind under wings he didn't have, could sense the magnetic fields that wrapped around the planet like invisible ribbons, could hear, no, feel the thoughts of dozens of other dragons flying in formation around him. It was a resonance, the thing that connected all dragons to each other. And somehow, impossibly, Kale was touching it. The sensation lasted only seconds before Ashvin pulled back. Kale collapsed to his knees, gasping, his mind reeling from the experience. What was that? That was the truth of what you are, young speaker. You do not simply hear dragons. You touch the same energy that binds all of my kind together. It is why we can speak, why we have always known you were different. Kale's hands were shaking. How is that possible? We do not know. It has happened before, long ago. A human who could walk in the resonance saved the life of one of our elders. We have been watching your species ever since, waiting for another like her. You are the first in 300 years. The implications crashed over Kale like a wave. If he could prove this, if he could somehow show others what he experienced, maybe they would finally listen. A distant rumble interrupted his thoughts. Both boy and dragon looked toward the sky. A streak of light cut across the atmosphere, followed by another, then another. Ships, Kale said. Lots of them. Ashvrin's scales flickered with agitated colors. No, not ships. Those are escape pods. Someone is abandoning a vessel in orbit. Kale's communication device buzzed frantically. His mother's voice came through, high and frightened. Kale, where are you? Get home right now. The colony is going on alert. Something attacked the mining station on Reach 4. Kale, they say everyone is gone. The entire station. Just gone. The Void Swarm had arrived. The evacuation sirens wailed across Meridian's edge like the screaming of dying animals. Kale ran through the crowded streets toward the colony's command center, Ashford's massive form gliding silently overhead. People were too panicked to notice the dragon following the boy. Ships were launching from every pad, families scrambling to escape. But Kale knew what Ashford had told him. The Void Swarm was faster than any human vessel. Running wouldn't save them. The command center doors were locked, armed guards standing watch. Kale skidded to a stop, breathless. "I need to speak to Commander Hayes. Please, it's urgent." The guard looked down at him with tired eyes. "Kid, everyone thinks their emergency is urgent right now. Go find your parents and get to a shelter. The dragons can help. They know how to fight the swarm." The guard's expression shifted from tired to pitying. "Get out of here, boy. We don't have time for dragon stories." A shadow fell over them both. Ashford had landed in the plaza behind Kale, his full size suddenly impossible to ignore. People screamed and scattered. The guards raised their weapons, but their hands shook. "Don't shoot," Kale shouted. "He's here to help." The command center doors burst open. Commander Hayes emerged, a tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She stared at the dragon, then at Kale, then back at the dragon. "Someone want to explain why there's a Draconis in my plaza?" "Because you're about to die without us." Ashrin's voice filled Kale's mind, and for the first time, Kale understood he could relay it. "Commander," he says, "they've been preparing for this. The dragons know how to fight the swarm, but they need our help too." Hayes studied Kale carefully. "You can actually understand it?" "Yes, ma'am. I always could. Please, you have to listen." The commander looked at the sky where dozens of dark shapes were entering the atmosphere. They didn't look like ships. They looked like insects made of shadow and metal, their forms twisting in ways that hurt to watch. "How long until they reach us?" Hayes asked. Kale closed his eyes, touching the resonance the way Ashford had shown him. Information flooded in. Distance, speed, trajectory. 12 minutes. Hayes made her decision in 3 seconds. "Get inside, both of you. I hope your dragon friend can fit through the door." The command center erupted in chaos when Ashford entered, his scale body barely squeezing to the reinforced entrance. Officers shouted questions all at once. Hayes silenced them with a single gesture. "The boy speaks to the dragon. Everyone shut up and listen." Through Kale, Ashford explained quickly. The Void Swarm consumed matter and energy both, adapting to any weapon used against it. Conventional attacks only made it stronger. But dragons could manipulate energy fields directly through the resonance. They could disrupt the swarm's cohesion, create openings for human weapons to exploit. "Why should we trust you?" an officer demanded. "Dragons have never helped us before." "Because 300 years ago, a human saved one of us," Kale translated. "The dragons never forget debts. And because if this world falls, the swarm moves to the next one, then the next. Eventually, it reaches the dragon homeworld too. We all die or we all fight." Commander Hayes looked at the tactical display. The swarm ships were 7 minutes out now. Her remaining defense fleet was pitifully small. "What do you need from us?" The battle plan came together in frantic minutes. Dragons would create energy disruption fields while human ships targeted the brief moments of swarm vulnerability. Kale would coordinate both sides, translating tactics through the resonance faster than any communication system could manage. When the first swarm ship entered firing range, Kale closed his eyes and dove deep into the resonance. Suddenly he was connected to 20 dragons at once, feeling their thoughts, their positions, their intentions. It was overwhelming and beautiful and terrifying. "North Quadrant, 3 swarm vessels," he called out. "Dragon flight embers creating disruption in 5, 4, 3, fire now." Human missiles streaked through the gap in the swarm's defenses. 2 enemy ships exploded. The third adapted, its hull shifting. Flight Cinder hit it from below. The battle raged for 2 hours. Kale's nose began to bleed from the strain of maintaining so many resonance connections. But slowly, impossibly, they were winning. The last swarm ship retreated, vanishing into a spatial tear that sealed behind it. The plaza erupted in cheers. Commander Hayes gripped Kale's shoulder. "You did it, son. You actually did it." But Ashvrin's voice in Kale's mind was grim. Tell her this was only the beginning. Show her what we found in their data streams. Kale opened the intercepted transmission on the command display. The translation made everyone fall silent. Scout Force defeated, sending coordinates to main fleet. 100 capital ships en route. They had 3 weeks before the real invasion began. 2 weeks of preparation felt like both forever and no time at all. Kale stood in the training center, watching 3 other children struggle to touch the resonance. They could feel something, a faint whisper at the edge of their minds, but nothing like what he experienced. "I can't hear anything," 12-year-old Maya said, frustrated tears in her eyes. "Just static." Kale knelt beside her. "Don't try to hear with your ears. Feel with something deeper, like reaching for a memory you can't quite remember." He had become the official speaker between humans and dragons, though the title felt too big for his 12-year-old shoulders. The Galactic Council had sent representatives from 6 different species. The human military had mobilized every available ship, and the dragons, once feared and avoided, now train alongside human pilots in the skies above Meridian's edge. But it wasn't enough. Everyone knew it wasn't enough. "Kale Andrus, you are needed at the council chamber," a voice announced over the intercom. He left the young trainees with their dragon mentors and headed to the meeting. Ashvrin waited outside the building, too large to fit inside any human structure comfortably. "They have decided to send you to Paraxis," Ashvrin said through their connection. There was worry in his mental voice. "Your home world? Why?" "Because the answer to stopping the swarm is in our oldest memories, and you are the only human who can access them." Inside the council chamber, Commander Hayes stood with representatives from 3 alien species and 5 elder dragons who had learned to project their thoughts through speakers. "Kale," Hayes began, "the dragons have records of the last time the Void Swarm appeared. It was over 5,000 years ago. Another civilization found a way to stop them using something called harmonic disruption." One of the dragon elders, a massive silver creature named Vexthar, spoke through the resonance translation device. "The weapon requires someone to channel pure resonance energy while projecting a specific harmonic frequency. It disrupts the swarm's high connection, making them vulnerable." Kale felt his stomach drop. "Someone has to be the weapon?" "A living conduit, yes," Vexthar confirmed. "The human who did it 5,000 years ago saved billions. But the process burned out her connection to the resonance permanently. She could never speak to us again." The room fell silent. Everyone understood what they were asking. "There's more, isn't there?" Kale said quietly. "You're not telling me something." Hayes looked away. Ashvrin's voice came softly in his mind. "The power required is immense. Most beings would not survive channeling it. The human woman from ancient times was extraordinary. She lived, but barely. So I might die." "Yes." Kale's parents burst into the room then, having been summoned by the guards. His mother ran to him, pulling him close. "Absolutely not," she said fiercely. "He's 12 years old. You can't ask this of a child." "No one is asking him to decide now," Commander Hayes said. "But we need to send him to Paraxis to learn if it's even possible, to see if the weapon can be rebuilt." His father's face was pale. "And if it can, what then?" No one answered. The journey to Paraxis took 4 days through dragon-navigated space, routes human ships had never seen. Kale traveled in a small shuttle, escorted by 15 dragons, including Ashvrin. His parents came too, refusing to let him go alone. The dragon homeworld was beautiful and alien. Crystalline mountains rose kilometers into purple skies. Energy fields visible to resonance-sensitive eyes danced through the atmosphere like auroras. In the ancient memory vaults carved into living stone, Kale placed his hands on surfaces that recorded thoughts instead of words. The resonance flowed through him, and suddenly he was seeing through eyes 5,000 years dead. He saw the woman, the first speaker, standing at the center of a massive energy amplifier. Saw her channel the resonance through every dragon within a light year. Saw the harmonic wave pulse outward. Saw the swarm ships falter and die. saw her collapse, blood running from her eyes and ears. Her mind burned almost hollow by the power she had channeled. But she had lived. Barely. Damaged. Never able to touch the resonance again. But she lived. When Kale came back to himself, he was crying. His mother held him while his father looked at the dragon elders with barely controlled anger. "There has to be another way," his father demanded. "There is not," Vexthar said simply. "The swarm arrives in 6 days. We can build the amplifier in 5. But without a conduit, the weapon is useless." That night, Kale sat with Ashrin under Paraxis's 3 moons. "What would you do?" Kale asked. "I would be terrified," Ashrin admitted. "But I would also know that some choices define us. Not just who we are, but who we might become. They haven't even asked me yet." "They will not. The choice must be yours alone." Kale looked up at the stars, knowing that somewhere out there, 100 swarm ships were coming closer. He already knew what his answer would be. The amplifier looked like a flower made of metal and crystal, its petals spreading 30 meters wide. Kale stood at its center, wearing a thin suit designed to protect his body from the energy surges. It wouldn't be enough. They all knew it wouldn't be enough. Around him, the combined fleet of 6 species hung in space like scattered stars. 300 ships against 100 swarm vessels. The odds were terrible, but they were all humanity had. His parents had said goodbye an hour ago. His mother had held him so tight, he thought his ribs might crack. His father had simply looked at him with red eyes and said, "You're the bravest person I've ever known." Then they had left because watching would have destroyed them. Ashrin's massive form coiled around the amplifier platform, as close as he could be. 40 other dragons surrounded them in a sphere formation, all connected to the resonance, all ready to channel their power through one 12-year-old boy. "The swarm ships are entering the system," Commander Hayes' voice crackled over the comm from minutes to weapons range. Kale closed his eyes and reached for the resonance. It came easier now, like diving into warm water. He felt Ashrin first, steady and strong. Then the other dragons, each consciousness unique. Some felt like fire, others like stone, others like wind. "I'm scared," Kale admitted through the connection. "So are we," Ashrin replied. "Fear means we understand what we risk. It makes us brave, not weak." The swarm ships emerged from dimensional tiers, their twisted forms making reality bend around them. They moved like a school of predatory fish, their formations perfect and deadly. "Beginning sequence," Kale said aloud. The amplifier hummed to life. Energy began flowing from the dragons into the crystalline structure, then into Kale. It felt like swallowing lightning. His body convulsed, but he forced himself to stay conscious, to hold the power without letting it consume him. More dragons joined the connection. 50, 60, 100. Dragons from 3 different star systems, all channeling their life force through a human child. The pain was indescribable. Kale felt like he was being torn apart and rebuilt at the same time. Blood ran from his nose. His vision blurred. "Kale, your vitals are critical." Hayes shouted, "We're pulling you out." "No." Kale screamed, "Not yet. The swarm is too far." The enemy ships accelerated, firing weapons at unmade matter itself. Human shields collapsed. Ships exploded. The defensive line was breaking. Closer. Kale gasped through bloody teeth. "Let them come closer." Ashrin's voice was panicked in his mind. "You cannot hold much longer." "I can hold long enough." The swarm ships closed to optimal range, confident in their victory. They had destroyed 1,000 worlds. What was one more? Kale opened his eyes. They glowed with blue-silver light, the same colors that dance across dragon scales. "Now!" he shouted. He released everything at once. The harmonic frequency erupted from the amplifier like a soundless scream that traveled faster than light. It washed over the swarm fleet in a wave of pure disrupting energy. The void swarm ships froze. Their perfect coordination shattered. Individual vessels drifted confused, their hive connections severed. All ships, fire at will. Hayes commanded. The combined fleet unleashed everything they had. Without their hive mind, the swarm ships fell like wheat before a scythe. Explosions lit up space like a second sun. Kale felt the power burning through him, consuming him from inside. His connection to the resonance was fraying, threads snapping one by one. The voices of the dragons grew faint, then fainter. The last swarm ship exploded. Then everything went dark. Kale woke up 3 days later in a medical bay. His parents sat beside his bed, his mother's hand gripping his. They were both crying and smiling at the same time. "Hey," he whispered. His throat felt like sandpaper. "Don't you ever do that again," his mother sobbed, kissing his forehead. "Did we win?" "You won," his father said. "You saved everyone." Kale reached for the resonance, for the connection that had been part of him since birth. He found only silence. Not empty silence, but the quiet of a door gently closed. He could feel something on the other side, like hearing music through thick walls, but he couldn't touch it anymore. "Ashvin," he whispered. A warm pressure filled his mind, faint but real. "I am here, little speaker. I will always be here." The connection was damaged, perhaps permanently, but not completely gone. Like a voice heard through distance, Kale could still feel his friend. "Rest now," Ashvin's distant voice said. "You have earned it." 5 years later, Kale stood before a class of young students in the Interspecies Communication Center. He was 17 now, an ambassador between humans and dragons despite his weakened connection. He had trained 43 new speakers, each one able to hear the dragons clearly. The alliance between species had grown stronger, built on the foundation of trust earned in battle. Sometimes, in quiet moments, Kale could still touch the resonance, just briefly, just enough to hear Ashvin's voice. And that was enough.